Hey everyone. For those of you that are new to the channel, I'm EJ Bantz. I'm just a Salesforce consultant. I'm an owner of a consulting practice called DoWow, and we're also a registered Salesforce partner. And what I try to do is just help other people get into Salesforce. I'm just kind of obsessed with it, and I thought it would be fun to just talk about all the cool stuff that's happening in the world of Salesforce. And right now, they have the Summer 20 release notes that have been put out, as well as a preview org that you can sign up for and start playing around with some of the features. So what I'm going to be doing over the next couple of weeks here is just going through all the release notes and picking out all the cool things that I'm looking forward to just taking advantage of as soon as this goes to production. So this is the first day that I've been looking at it, and there's already a couple of things that I'm super excited about. One is all the changes to the flows that are happening, and then the other is the dynamic page layouts. So you can just drag and drop like specific fields onto a Lightning page instead of always just having to have the entire detail section. So I'll make a video tomorrow to go over that, the dynamic Lightning pages. But for this one, I'm just going to go over the changes to the flows. So this is pretty cool. I know in the last release, they changed the flows so that you could do a before update trigger. So now they're adding it so that you can do even more with that. So you can do the afters. You can do when platform events are triggered. So let's dive into this one. This really makes it so that you don't need to have process builders involved anymore. So you can do it when a record is created or updated for both before and after. And let me just show you what that looks like when you're really running it. So here is the new org, and I'll create a flow. Okay, so we have some more options here. I think these two are new. I think these three used to show. So let's go into the record change flow. Yeah, so now this start menu is very different. This used to just be the single start button. Now we have this whole window here where we can configure it. And I'm noticing on the left right now I have a limited number of elements that I can launch. But if I say created and updated after, now there's more options here. So the one that I was really excited to see is this action, because at very least I like to be able to send email alerts. And so now that is in here. So that's pretty cool. Let's go back into this again. So if I put it back to before, yeah, see now this goes away. So this is, I think, what's currently in production, where you could maybe look at other records in the system and then use that to change the values of the record that's being created. So now with the after, I mean, that lets you do pretty much everything. Yeah, now you can update other records, create other records, delete other records. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I can see. So, and also, I mean, typically to do this in the past, what you would do is create a process builder and then have the process builder call into the flow, and then you do the logic from there. So this now you can just bypass process builder altogether. So cool. Let's look at the next stuff. trigger a flow when a platform event is received. So that is also a situation where I would have used process builder to tap into the platform event creation and then have the process builder call a flow. So now I can skip that altogether. And for those of you that haven't used platform events yet, those are pretty cool for creating like really disconnected logic inside of Salesforce. So you can have a platform event just looks like any other record type, but I think instead of it ending in a C, it ends in an E. So you can have like one flow create a platform event, and then you have a process builder that could be listening for that. And then when that process event comes in, then you could have it take other action. So imagine, instead of having like a monster flow, you could have all these events that are being sent, and you could just have things tap into it. So it's a pretty nice way to like isolate the work that you're doing. And you could even have external systems create those events that you could then respond to. So that's exciting to see that I can do this again directly without having to use Process Builder. Debugging flows got faster. So this one is related to oh yeah, this is cool. There's rollback. Rollback is a big thing. So right now, if you have to keep in mind that whenever you were debugging a flow, any data that you modify is like really being modified in production. So it's dangerous. It's powerful, yet it's dangerous. So this gives you an option now where you can say roll back the change. And then the other one was for the scheduled flows, that it was, you couldn't debug them in the current release. I always had to switch it to be a non-scheduled thing. And then when I had it all working, then flip it to be a scheduled, and that was a bit awkward. So now you can debug it as a scheduled, and it lets you pass in a record for that to test with. So that is going to be very helpful. Let's see what else. Create and edit flows more easily with the improved new flow window in the start. So that is just, this has been redesigned, and then when you first bring open the new flow, that this screen has the additional options right there. Right here. So great. Take some tips from the guidance for Flow Builder. I don't know. This one, I know. These are going to be tooltips that basically show up inside of the builder that kind of give you advice on how to use the elements. Like they pointed to how to do a loop, for example. I know for me that was pretty tricky to figure out. So this will be a good feature for people that are new to Flow, and will help them really, I think, get the most out of it and become more efficient in using it. And the last one is run flows that bypass user permissions. So they added quite a bit to this in prior releases, where you could have a flow that basically runs at an elevated level, so that if a user doesn't have access to edit a field, you could create a flow that kind of walks them through a wizard and finally lets them edit that field indirectly. But there were still limitations on what that could do. For example, I think if you're like a guest user, then you were still restricted with the types of records that you could edit. And this is now opening it up even further so that your flow can really do anything. And the way that you trigger that is by selecting this new option that is system context without sharing, access all data. So that is going to be helpful, I think, when I'm creating communities and I have a flow that lives on a community, and that community is open to just the world accessing it through a guest account. So this is exciting. I'm super pumped for the new flow features, specifically the ones that let me do the after update, so that I can do all the cool stuff and not have to always involve that process builder to jump through. So that's it for this video. Stay tuned for the next one where I talk about the Lightning page dynamic field layouts. All right, have fun.